Hey there friends, Cynthia here. Welcome to my quilt lab where I'm working on a Banyan Batik by Northcott block of the month. It's called Symphony. Doing this beautiful neutral colorway over here on the right. And this is block number 11, month number 11. So let's dive in and see what block number 11 has in store for us. Let's go. All right, so block number 11 is called the Large Jewel. Now I have a disclaimer in this video. I'm going to tell you that up until now I have done all the instructions. I've used all the fabric the way that the instructions has said. I am deviating this month for one reason, and that's mostly because of the camera. Yeah, if you hadn't noticed, a bunch of these fabrics are pretty close in color scheme, especially in the neutral way. So I've swapped out one piece of fabric just for this block because it shows up better on camera. So please, it's not good. Your block isn't going to look exactly like this is. If you want it to, I had all these scrap pieces, and I'll talk about what I'm getting into here in just a second. So let's talk about all the different fabrics real quick. So you'll see that in your instructions, you'll have fabric 3, fabric 5. That's the little 4 patches we're going to be doing here in the corners. There's fabric 11 as well, and that's the 4 patch in the center. And then there's fabric 16. Now 16 is supposed to be this square in a square. It's these 4. It's the north, south, east, west. It's the big pieces. But as you can tell, if I put this on top, it's pretty darn close to that background fabric of 5. You can see it's pretty blendy. And for filming reasons, I've decided to switch out fabric 16, with fabric 15. I had extra fabric 15 from a previous block, and I have just enough to do both of them. And since I've already made one, I'm going to make the other one in this color combination. So my ending quilt is going to be a little different, and that's because of filming. Please, you don't have to do fabric 15. You can absolutely follow the instructions. It's just my block is going to look a little different on camera. Let's dive in and talk about putting this block together. So the first step in this block is to put a bunch of 4 patches together. Now you'll see that there's 2 variations in the block. There's one variation that's in the 4 corners, and there's one variation that's right in the center. They all use that fabric 3. Let me take this away so you can see here's the 2 variations right there. There's the fabric 3s. And then on one side is the fabric 5 pairing, and the other side is that fabric 11 pairing. Super easy to do here, and I know you're thinking, why am I getting a lesson on this? But you know, we're doing the whole thing. So go ahead, seam those center seams first. If you want, you can open the seams, or you can press towards the dark side, which in this instance happens to be the fabric number 3. If I turn over the back so you can see what I did, that's exactly what I did. I pressed towards that dark side. That way it'll nest together when you go to do those center seams there in the center. And you're going to be doing 4 of these for each block and 1 of these for each block. So that means you're making 8 in total of the one variation and 2 in total of the second variation. So let's do these blocks real quickly off camera. I'll take a few pictures as I go, and then we'll jump into the next step. And hey guys, it's a super simple pattern. Let's get going and get stitching. To the machine. So the last block is using that alternate piece of fabric I talked about, because remember, the original didn't show up on camera very well. So grab your big block and 2 of your last small ones, and this is what you're going to do. You're going to want to draw a diagonal through the middle, just like we do with half square triangles. Put it in one of the corners, so it's going to be diagonal across that corner. Throw a pin in. That way it doesn't fall off when you travel to the machine, and you're going to stitch right on top of that line right there. So it'll look a little something like this. So there's that stitch. I've cut away that extra so that when this is pressed open, I'll just give it a little finger press right now. There's one corner already done. You have to do each corner separately because if you do them right on top of one another, they won't open up properly. So once this one's done, grab that other square and just do the same thing, only on the other side. Throw a pin in, stitch, and it'll look a little something like this one. So there it is stitched. I've already cut away the extra so that I can press it open. And it's ready to go, just like that. So you're making 4 of these for each block, so that's 8 in total. Once you have all of these done, come back and we'll put the big block together in its final piecing. To the machine. All right, so we have all of our little blocks made so we can focus on making the final big block. And remember, we're making 2 of these. So, of course, there's the 2 different variations of 4 patches. There's the 4 on the corners and the one in the center. Please notice that there's a diagonal made with some of those colors, okay? So whether you're making it one way or the other, you just need to make sure this is what the picture looks like. It goes this way. Oh, so always good to reference back to the picture. And here is the north, south, east, west blocks. And remember, I am using that different color there in the big part. So let's just talk about it. It's just a big 9 patch now at this point, right? So we're going to put things together in rows, and then we're going to put the rows together in the big blocks. Let me point out a few things. So this is the halfway point, right? Because these 2 are the same size blocks. This was the same block as this one. So ideally, when you do this 1/4 of an inch seam down here, that diagonal should hit the halfway mark of those 4 patches. So you can see if I can focus in right there. It's pretty darn good. Good places to throw pins in when you take this to the machine to try to get a nice pretty line. All right, and if you had to do a little squaring up before you get to this spot, I had one block that was a little bigger, so I just squared it down just a little bit so it'll match up nicely. So once again, rows first, and I'll show you what I did on the flip side. I pressed in on the top and the bottom and out in the middle. So I'm using these kind of big points as sort of my anchor point. And then I did open up the last 2 seams when I put the 3 rows together. Because you know me, if you've been watching any of my videos, you know I like to open up those seams because it makes a really nice flat block. All right, so let's get stitching. I'll take a few pictures as I go, and I'll see you at the end with another finished block. To the machine. All right, there is the finished block. That is block number 2. Remember, you are making 2 of these for the quilt. Give it a nice press, label it, and if you haven't labeled your previous blocks, make sure you do take some time to do that too, because we only have 1 more month left. That's right, block 12 is coming up real soon, and the second we're finished with block 12, we're jumping into putting this together. So label everything, press everything, set it aside, and I will see you next month for block number 12. Give me a thumbs up if you found this handy or useful. Share with your friends, and hey, I'll see you next time in my quilt lab. Keep quilting. Bye-bye.